Seeing Yanhe Zhao again after 7 years, in the biggest pleasure house of Shangjing, hit me like a punch to the gut. He was a guest come to buy a woman's freedom. I was one of the women now. When someone whispered he was here to redeem an old acquaintance, my heart skipped a beat. I was sure he meant me, but when I overheard him talking with the madam, I froze. These banknotes should be enough to buy Mo Wen's freedom. It was like lightning straight to my chest. I didn't care about appearances. I pushed through the curtain and rushed in. He looked startled when he saw me just for a second. Then his face cooled as he opened his mouth. A 2-for-1 deal? With that face, she might just barely pass as Wen's maid. The madam gave a not-so-subtle eye roll and told me to serve him properly. Once everyone else was gone, Yanhe Zhao let out a slow breath as though relieved. Yobai, I didn't bring enough. I'm trying. Just give me some time. I stared at him, my smile full of irony, my voice sharp. She's worth twice what I am? His expression darkened. The anger in his eyes was hard to ignore. Guess you really are a whore, always watching a man for his silver. When you stop being this way, maybe then I'll come get you. Later, when someone else came and paid my price, he came storming in like a madman, demanding to know why I didn't wait for him. His insults cut deep, ripping away at me like claws. My chest tightened until it physically hurt. 7 years of waiting, and this was all it came to. But I didn't leave. I stood there, teeth clenched, still begging, maybe just a little. Yanhe Zhao, please, for old time's sake, take me away from here. For a moment, something flickered in his eyes. His lips moved like he wanted to say something, but before he could speak, the servant called him, said his papers were ready. Then I heard that voice behind me. Yobai, if you're begging, you should at least act like it. Mo Wen strolled over slowly, her eyes full of contempt. I turned as if to leave, but her next words pinned me in place. The men outside, they're all here for the same reason. They've heard the purest girl in the whole brothel is giving in tonight. They came for you. I sucked in a sharp breath. I knew exactly what that meant. 7 years I held on. Never gave in. Not to the madam, not to the thugs who ran the place. I was beaten, more than once. Badly enough that my skin broke, my flesh tore. They tried everything to make me work, to give myself to men. More than once I slit my own wrists in front of clients, just to make them stop. The scars on my arms were my answer. And when it got really dark, I'd think of that day when Yanhe Zhao had wrapped me in his arms and promised, Yue, I'll never let you down in this life. But the boss laughed at me, said girls like me don't deserve love. She let the rumors swirl, let them build me up like some prize. Tonight was the deadline. If no one bought me, I was to serve anyone and everyone who came. I felt the weight drop in my gut, my knees hitting the floor in front of her without me even thinking. Maybe it was the hope I'd carried all this time. Maybe it was the sheer fear of what would come. Mo Wen raised her brows, pleased, smug. So, not so tough after all. Not the same girl from 7 years ago, are you? Then her voice dropped, low and bitter. Back then I begged you too. Told you, if you'd just agree to take clients, they'd leave me alone. But you stood there and watched them tear me up instead. You tried to take your life once, and I went 7 days without food because of it. You still want to tell me you meant to die back then? Ever thought karma would hit you like this? My fists clenched so tightly, my nails were digging deep into my palms. I knew I'd wronged her first. That much was true. I could only get out 2 weak words, please. But right after, she kicked me hard in the shoulder and gave a startled cry as she toppled to the ground. Yanhe Zhao finally showed up, late as always. He didn't even glance at me lying there, rushed straight past to help Mo Wen up with all the care in the world. When he finally looked at me, his eyes were full of disgust, his voice colder than winter wind. Yobai, you've learned all the dirty tricks of this place a little too well. You hurt her this time. Next time what? Gonna try killing me too? It was her. She kicked me, lost her balance, and you're lying just to dodge the blame, aren't you? Mo Wen cut in before I could finish. Yanhe, I was careless. It's not Sister Yue's fault. Her fake softness so forgiving, but every word sharper than steel. Yanhe Zhao's arm tightened around her like he was scared she'd break. I just stood there, frozen. That bit of warmth I used to remember from his touch, it was disappearing fast. Now, in his eyes, I'm nothing more than scum, a scheming whore desperate for attention. He vanished for 7 years, only to come back like this, throwing accusations like stones. I ignored the throbbing pain in my shoulder, got up, and dropped to my knees before him. Yanhe Zhao, you said you wouldn't let me suffer. But if you buy my freedom today, I won't ask for anything else. Did you see those people in the hall? They're going to beat me, maybe kill me. My voice cracked badly near the end. He looked down at me, face empty, voice even colder. Don't wars deserve beatings? Don't they deserve pain? Everything inside me stopped at that. I couldn't even cry anymore. Couldn't believe this was the man I'd waited for. 7 years. And Mo Wen, pressed to his chest, started sniffling, her voice barely holding. Yanhe, it's just. Those fake tears welled up in her eyes but wouldn't fall. She really sold that poor little thing act. Yanhe panicked, totally lost. Mo came from this life too, but she stayed clean despite it. I'd never betray you. I told you I'm saving up. Once I have enough, I'll buy your freedom. Why are you blowing this up? And just like that, he acted like I wasn't even there anymore. Turned, ready to walk off with her. Fear gripped me so tight I didn't even think. I grabbed his boot. Yanhe Zhao, if you leave now, they'll kill me. Get off, he snapped, kicking me square in the chest. You said you needed money? Look at all the clients tonight. You probably made enough already. Back then, I gave up everything just to get him out of this place. Spent all I had for him to shake off the slave's collar. Because of one promise, wait for me. And now, this was my reward. I ignored the stabbing pain in my chest, forcing the words out. Then give me back my mother's jade pendant. His expression turned darker in a blink. He grabbed my hair roughly, voice laced with venom. You know damn well who that pendant belongs to. You buy. You trying to say I owe everything to you? I frowned, confused. Wasn't that the truth? If I hadn't found out it was Mo Wen behind all this, I would have been tricked by you, totally. Mo Wen shrank into his arms, trying to look scared, eyes flickering with guilt. I kept shaking my head, not even sure what truly happened back then. Just swallowed the pain in my scalp and tried to explain. No, no, the engraving on the pendant, that's proof enough. Yanhe Zhao's voice was rushed, filled with anger. You saw it clearly? That's a jasmine carved on it. Then tell me, why does your pendant have Mo Wen's name on it? Mo Wen wore a face of kindness, gently helping me up with a show of grace. But what she whispered in my ear sent chills straight through my spine. From the moment I knew Yanhe Zhao was the heir, I kept him hidden just so you'd never find him, just so he'd hate you. I wanted you to see with your own eyes how your beloved pampers me, protects me, and you get to know what it feels like to be trampled on. She smiled coldly. Regret it now, don't you? Giving me the money and pendant to pass on to him? Fury surged in me. I glared at her and slapped her with all I had. Yanhe Zhao came to his senses just then, shoving me aside. His hand flew up, tightening around my throat. His voice was ice. Miss Mo saved my life. She's the woman I love. Just who do you think you are? Mo Wen spoke softly, her eyes full of sorrow. It's all right, Yanhe. I just don't understand why Yue Bai would steal my mother's keepsake. She looked away, as if she couldn't bear to cause more trouble for him. His eyes softened as he turned to the men beside him. A woman this eager to prove her purity, why not let her prove it properly? He didn't wait for me to speak. The brothel boys swarmed in, dragging me off despite my screams. Yanhe Zhao, can you even tell Gardenia from Jasmine? Do you even know? I didn't get the words out. Mo Wen suddenly collapsed. Yanhe Zhao's face had shown a sliver of confusion, but it quickly darkened. You better pray she's fine, he growled, or I really will end you. 3 days. I didn't sleep, didn't rest. Day and night, I was tossed among the guests he brought to me. By the time he showed his face again, I was soaked in blood. He held a bowl of medicine. When the doors finally opened and the light hit me, my eyes squinted instinctively. I met Yanhe Zhao the moment I stepped into this brothel. I was a maid to a courtesan. He carried prostitutes to serve clients, just a servant boy. In this place, being young only meant getting bullied more easily. We were both nobodies, beaten, insulted. We clung to each other, healed each other's wounds. Feelings crept in, slow but deep. He said he wanted to leave, wanted to take me with him. I believed him. I gave money, gave my only keepsake for him to go. And then nothing. He vanished. Now he stood before me, handing me a bitter bowl. This is your lesson. I'll redeem you soon. My throat, raw from screaming, couldn't manage a word. He didn't mind. Gripping my jaw, he forced the foul liquid into my mouth. You're worthless now. No one will care what a courtesan says. But if anyone found out I was once a brothel boy. He leaned in, cold and cruel. Yubai, I can't afford another stain. As the burning liquid slid down my throat, part of me still wanted to believe he cared, but the pain, it killed that thought. I stared at him with hatred, didn't move closer. While my voice still worked, I forced the words out, pain slicing through me with every syllable. Yanhe Zhao, I don't want your so-called redemption. He froze for a second. Then his grip tightened, my face went numb. So in the end, you really are a filthy woman. Everyone begs to get out, and you choose to stay? Or do you think just me isn't enough to satisfy you? Beside him, Mo Wen's eyes filled with tears. Suddenly she dropped to her knees and bowed again and again in front of me. Yobai, if you're upset, take it out on me, but don't ever degrade yourself just to get Yanhe's attention. I know I hurt you by falling for him, but you were the one who let go first. Yanhe Zhao clenched his fists in fury at the sight. Playing hard to get now, huh? What are you pretending for? Then he laughed, suddenly yanking up my sleeve. Moer said every time you sleep with a man, you beg him to carve a mark on you while you're still in bed. Said it's your way of making them feel sorry for you. I didn't believe her at first, but seeing those repulsive scars of yours, damn, Yuobai, you're really something else. Messed up and shameless. Looks like the tally's not complete, though. Got 3 missing? Don't worry, I'll add them for you. I'll carve their names in two, help you beg for pity later. The knife ripped into my skin. I struggled, gasping, the sound I made coming out shrill and broken. Those scars are because... All of a sudden, Mo Wen, who'd been pretending to be so fragile, grabbed the last of the mute drug and forced it into my mouth. I choked, couldn't breathe, my screams tearing out like a dying animal's, only to dissolve into raspy grunts. I stared at them, fury burning in my eyes. When they saw I couldn't speak anymore, both looked relieved. Yanhe, doesn't it make me awful? She whispered while clinging to him. I was just scared she'd lie and hurt you. Yanhe Zhao softened instantly, lowered his voice like she might shatter if he breathed too hard, carefully soothing her. Then he turned to me, eyes filled with nothing but disgust. He snatched up a nearby stick, jamming it roughly into my mouth. Had too many men, huh? Think you're immune to everything now? Let's see what breaks first. Your mouth or this stick. I warned you, Yuobai. I shut my eyes, my mouth filled with the taste of blood. I grit through the pain in my body and the ache buried deeper in my chest. When the stick came out stained with blood, Yanhe Zhao finally stopped. That's when I passed out. By the time I came to, people were carrying me out, heading to a wedding feast. From the whispers around me, I gathered it was Yanhe Zhao and Mo Wen's wedding. To show how much he valued her, Yanhe invited every girl in the brothel. The place was decked out in red, cheerful, over the top. Everyone wore smiles, guests and servants alike. Everyone except me. I felt like I'd died and come back. All I wanted was to leave. But the madam blocked my way. I know what you're thinking, but this wedding's a huge moment for the brothel. Don't you dare mess it up. Look at you, like someone just buried your husband. But the young master asked to have you brought in no matter what. You think I dragged you here for no reason? Now get back inside. She scowled at me, but waved someone over to lead me back. Yanhe Zhao wore a bright red flower on his head and fresh robes. He looked young, proud, full of spirit, mingling with guests. Mo Wen, for real, she was his beloved. The brothel, usually buzzing, suddenly felt eerily quiet. The silence sat so heavy it was hard to breathe. Then the doors of Yanhe's residence burst open. His servants stormed in. The second I saw who it was, I finally figured out where that creeping dread had come from. Yanhe Zhao looked a mess, glared at me like he wanted to tear me apart. You trying to ruin me, you lowly thing? I stared, completely lost. What was he saying? It was Mo Wen who stepped forward with an accusing glare. Yobai, why did you go around lying, saying Yanhe used to be a lowly servant here? What good does any of this do for you? As soon as I heard her say that, I forgot I couldn't speak and instinctively opened my mouth, wanting to defend myself. Everyone around started whispering. How can someone who can't talk spread rumors? Probably just a big misunderstanding. Not so sure. They say Yanhe Zhao and she were close back when he was a servant here. Could have turned sour. Women don't always let things go easily. But who even gets what a mute is trying to say? Yanhe Zhao's face, which had been dark and cold, eased a little when he heard the word mute. There was even a flicker of guilt in his eyes when he looked at me. Only then did I realize someone must have spilled that he used to be a servant in the brothel. I shook my head hard, unable to say anything except for broken sounds of ah, ah. Mo Wen, standing next to us, started panicking. She might not be able to talk, but she can still write. Can't she? She blurted out. Yanhe, her hands are perfectly fine. That note from the beggar spelled it all out, didn't it? Yanhe Zhao, who already had doubts about me, seemed to suddenly figure it all out. His look turned sour with disgust. I told you clearly, once I marry Wenner, I'll come by your freedom. Why can't you just listen for once? His stare was sharp and full of blame. He stepped forward slowly, his presence turning suffocating. I tried to back away, but there was nowhere to go. They forced my hands down on the table while I kept struggling. Tears streamed uncontrollably down my face, and then I watched him, with his own hands, slice off my 10 fingers. Feed them to the dog. He calmly wiped the blood from his hands with a handkerchief and tossed it at my face without a second thought. One of his men brought over a starving dog. The moment it saw my severed fingers, its eyes gleamed. It lunged forward and devoured them in one brutal bite. I broke free and reached toward the dog with my bloodied stumps. If it was going to be vicious, I could be too. It didn't even chew. The raw pain burst through me as I dropped to the floor, hollow and cold, like my very soul had slipped out. In a daze, I caught the smug look that flashed across Mo Wen's face for just a second. You only lost a few fingers. Yanhe's the one who lost his pride. Yanhe Zhao looked down at me like I was filth. That's enough. I've let off steam now. Take 5 days to get whatever bad luck is clinging to you out of your system. I'll come pick you up after that. His tone was relaxed now, his smug air creeping back in like he thought he was being generous. I just sat there empty and motionless. All the fight had drained out of me. The room felt unnervingly quiet, way too calm. From a distance came the brothel madam's voice, breathless and shaky. This is all wrong. It's all a mistake. She stumbled toward Yanhe Zhao, stammering out, You've got it all wrong, you bai, she's not. Not what? He asked, frowning. The madam glanced nervously at Mo Wen before hesitating, then said, You bai can't read. She never learned. Can't write either. I looked at her, puzzled why she'd speak up for someone as useless as me. But it didn't take long to understand. Yanhe Zhao's face twitched, his mouth curling into a sneer. She could be faking it. The kind of men she's been around. Picking up a little reading isn't such a stretch. The madam let out a short laugh, clearly shocked. Learned all that in 3 days, did she? That'd make her a genius. Then she muttered to herself, No wonder the master favored her. So many years in a brothel and still untouched. Yanhe Zhao cut her off with a scoff. Yeah, right. Pure? Look at the scars on her wrist. What a joke. Hearing that, my tears started falling again. Guess it was my own fault for being blind and for believing in the wrong person. The madam let out a mocking laugh. This girl ain't too bright. Took all kinds of beatings just to stay loyal to a turtle. Wouldn't sleep with anyone. Got guts, I'll give her that. But that man took the money and ran ages ago. Yanhe Zhao froze. Something about her words didn't sit right with him, like he'd missed a crucial piece. His gaze slid toward Mo Wen. Tears welled up instantly in her eyes. She couldn't write, sure, but she could have found someone to help her. Yanhe Zhao actually nodded, as if what she said made perfect sense. Mo Wen quietly let out a breath of relief. Someone in the crowd suddenly snorted. A mute who can't read but still sends letters? Now that's rich. More laughter followed, raw and sharp, each sound echoing in Yanhe Zhao's chest like a slap. Those deep, charming eyes of his turned clouded, pain and confusion tangled inside them. Mo Wen shot back, furious. What kind of trash are you people? You think the heir is someone you can just laugh at? I sighed. My heart had long gone numb toward Yanhe Zhao. But then the madam said something that hit Yanhe Zhao like a dagger to the heart. Maybe Yue Bai kept pestering the heir because he reminded her of that turtle she once loved. Can't blame her, I guess. After all, anyone would lose it after giving a lover their mother's keepsake, only to be left like that. Oh, and that jade? Yue Bai had Mo Wen deliver it. Back then, she was just a little maid. One of the top girls died in a client's house, so she had to go collect the body. There was no choice but to hand it over. Mo Wen's name being spoken made her flinch. Sweat trickled down her temple. She stammered out, I didn't know. Her voice was thin and shaky, no strength behind it. Yanhe Zhao pulled out the jade and held it up. Have you seen this before? Is this the one? The madam took a good look, then nodded firmly. That's it, shows a gardenia. Same flower the jade was carved for. Gardenia's got another name, Baixian. It's patterned after Yuebai's name. The shock hit Yanhe Zhao like a thunderbolt. He shook as he asked, Isn't that a jasmine flower? They look alike, the madam said. But check the leaves. Gardenia has sharp ones, jasmines are rounder. The engraver clearly knew the difference. Details matter to them. Mo Wen's voice suddenly went shrill, near hysterical. That's nonsense. You've always favored Yuo Bai. That jade was from my mother. That was all I had of her. Tears poured down her face, sobs choking her words. In your eyes, am I really such a despicable person? But this time, Yanhe Zhao didn't flinch, didn't reach for her like he used to. Instead, he ordered people to bring 2 flowers to compare. Didn't take long. When the verdict came, he hurled the flower in his hands straight at Mo Wen, then turned to me. Yo Bai, I'm giving you a chance to explain. I let out a bitter laugh, hatred boiling in my chest. What's a mute supposed to say? What's the point of a chance now? My gaze locked on his, cold and sharp. His body tensed all at once. It finally dawned on him. Mo Wen looked like she finally let go of a tight breath in relief. But she didn't expect the madam to speak up for me. I'll explain. Let me. She fought for her chastity with her life. Every time you tried to send her to a guest, she'd cut her wrist again. Maybe she waited too long for that heartless man and lost her mind, kept insisting that the day you came, you were there for her. Mistress has a kind heart. That so-called final deadline was really meant to snap her out of it. She never meant for things to go that far. After saying this, the madam seemed to remember something horrible and shuddered. Young Lord Zhao, when our mistress comes back, you'd better give her a proper explanation. It wasn't me who abused Yue Bai like that. It was you. Yanhe Zhao's eyes widened in disbelief as he looked at me. And I, using up every bit of strength I had, turned to the madam with a hoarse croak. Thank. I could barely recognize my own voice, and it stunned me. Yanhe Zhao, as if finally realizing the truth, turned and ran away like his feet were on fire. Watching his fleeing figure, I actually felt a bit relieved. 7 years had passed, and he'd turned into a coward, selfish and weak. As soon as Yanhe Zhao disappeared, Mo Wen, who had been slumped to the side, glared at me in disgust. So what if that fool found out the truth? Don't tell me you're still dreaming he'll marry a cripple like you. I didn't feel like arguing with her, so I just turned my head away. She huffed and walked off without another word. The room, once filled with tension, finally went quiet. Then the madam broke the silence. Young Master Shea sent someone again asking if you'd come with him. What do you think? Without even thinking, I nodded. The young master she mentioned was the one I'd last cut my wrist for. That time, I was carried off by a slave to the Shea residence, meant to keep company for their sickly young lord, Ruofeng Shea. The moment I saw him, I drew the knife I had hidden. If you're planning to use force, I'll spill my blood right here in your hall. No one ever believed a courtesan would really kill herself. Clients usually thought I was just being dramatic, even more eager to conquer me. But when I actually stabbed myself, their faces turned pale, yelling to send me back and bring someone else. Ruofeng Xie, on the other hand, just chuckled, didn't say a word. It wasn't until I pressed the blade deep and drew blood that he finally looked flustered. He quickly asked someone to stop the bleeding and said, sounding a bit guilty, I didn't mean to hurt you. I won't force anything. Take this scar as a debt I owe. His reaction caught me off guard, but I stayed wary. The next day, that same slave brought me back. It was the first time I'd been returned after an appointment. The madam's face was lit up with joy, praising me to the heavens. Only I knew, really, nothing at all had happened. After that, Ruofeng asked for me every day just to talk. Eventually, he even brought up redeeming me, but I politely turned him down. Didn't expect he'd keep sending people month after month, asking if I'd changed my mind. It went on for 7 years. After turning him down so many times, this time, I really wanted to go. The madam looked completely stunned. When she looked at me again, her expression was softer than before. Rest up these few days. When the time comes, we'll have you sent to the Xie residence in style. After that, I never saw Mo Wen or Yanhe Zhao again. Ruofeng Shi, once he learned more about me, sought out many doctors to treat me. Even called on a retired royal physician the Xie family had for his own condition. The voice, too long delayed to heal fully, but she can speak again. As for her fingers, the old man gave a tired sigh. Forgive me, I truly don't know how to fix them. Just being able to speak again felt like a blessing. I didn't dare wish for more. But the physician's next words stirred something in me. There's a mention in ancient texts, if we use mulberry thread along with jade red ointment, a procedure might work. He paused, then added, but the lady's severed finger, chances are a stray dog already digested it. My hope crashed. Noticing my reaction, Ruofeng quickly stepped in. No, when it happened, I had them cut open the dog's stomach. All 10 fingers were intact. They've been preserved in ice since then. In that case, young Master Xie, please have your people prepare mulberry thread and jade red ointment. Ruofeng rushed to give the orders. My gaze met his, full of gratitude. Yue Bai, I'll come get you tomorrow. The next day I stood waiting outside bright and early. Instead, I saw Yanhe Zhao. He looked worn out, like he hadn't slept in days. His vacant eyes lit up the moment he saw me. Buyer, I've come to take you home. I stared at him coldly, saying nothing. He didn't seem to need a response. I knew you weren't that petty. Otherwise, you wouldn't be waiting here so obediently. When I wouldn't even glance at him, he started to grow irritated. Enough already, Yubai. I'm here to pay for your release. What more do you want? His complete lack of guilt made my voice go hoarse with disgust. I wasn't waiting for you. He laughed then, scornful and sneering. Who else would want a whore like you? Used by everyone, tossed around like trash. If you don't come now, I swear I'll walk away. My body tensed. I looked straight at him, hatred plain in my eyes. You're trying to buy a whore. What does that make you? He froze, his face twisting. Still so mouthy, huh? Fine. I'll be back in a few days to punish you. His voice dripped with threats as he looked me up and down. I shut my eyes. I didn't even care to look at him. The silence hung heavy in the air until I heard Ruofeng Shi's voice break through. Miss Yu, I've come. I opened my eyes and walked towards him. But Yanhe Zhao grabbed my arm hard, spitting out his words like venom. Already found another man to take over the spot carved on your arm? That fast? Yubai, you're really cheap. Even now, he couldn't accept that I was leaving for good. Anger flared in me. I yanked my arm free and, ignoring the pain in my finger, slapped him hard. Who's cheap, really? If you weren't, would you be here begging someone who hates your guts to come back? With that, I walked to Ruofeng Shi's side and stared Yanhe Zhao down. That slap finally woke him up. His face changed, his voice full of blame. I told you I was short on money. It's only been a few days. What else do you want from me? I breathed deep, done with wasting words on him. I took Ruofeng Shi's arm and walked away. You'll regret this, Yubai. Rat. He staggered before falling to the ground. Mo Wen ran up to help him, only to be slapped across the face. You slut. This is all your fault. She dropped the act completely, laughing coldly. Yeah, all my fault, right? Just because Yubai acts like she's pure and refuses to take clients, I have to cover for her? We're both from the same damn brothel. Why does she get to act all righteous while I get pawed by filthy men? I couldn't stand watching her act like that. She owes me. Mo Wen was nearly hysterical as she glared at him. You know what, Yanhe Zhao? You're a fool. So full of yourself you didn't even see who she really was. 7 years ago, I gave you a pile of silver for no reason at all. Only that fool Yuobai fell for your slick words. Don't tell me you weren't scheming back then. And what's the point of knowing now? Don't forget, it was you who sent those men after her. You poisoned her. You were the one who chopped off all her fingers and fed them to wild dogs. Yanhe Zhao's eyes were bloodshot, his hands clenched around Mo Wen's neck. Unable to breathe, her face turned red, but she didn't resist at all. Instead, the smile on her lips deepened. She let out a few choppy words. Go on, kill me if you dare, coward. Her gaze grew hotter as it locked onto him. Yanhe Zhao's breath came faster. Something flashed in his eyes, and he finally loosened his grip. You dying like this would be too easy. What Yuebai went through, you'll pay that back tenfold. Mo Wen's face drained of color. No, that's not how it should go. It should be you paying. You're the one who deserves that pain. Like some broken thing, Mo Wen was dragged into the brothel by Yanhe Zhao. Madame Shizi, 1 coin ago. As soon as he said it, people rushed at her like they'd lost their minds. Laughter mixed with piercing screams filled the whole building, making passers-by shiver. Yanhe Zhao didn't react, just sat down and started slicing her fingers off one by one. When I saw Yanhe Zhao again, my fingers had just been stitched back. He crumbled at my feet. Yo bai, I got revenge for you. Can you? I cut him off coldly. Yanhe Zhao, can you fix my throat? Can you grow my fingers back? His frame looked like a breeze could knock him over. His voice was hoarse. You're talking again, aren't you? Yo bai, you didn't even give me a chance to apologize. I almost laughed, my voice sharp. And did you ever give me a chance to explain back then? His face went ghost white. He muttered, they said you were out there looking for your fingers. I couldn't find that dog anymore, but I've found your fingers. Trembling, he pulled 10 severed fingers from his sleeve. That's when I saw his hands, covered in blood. Yanhe Zhao gritted through the pain and started counting them in front of me. The look on his face made my skin crawl. I owe you everything. If giving up my life could mean your forgiveness, I'd do it. I shook my head, voice flat. Your pathetic life? I've no interest. Yanhe Zhao, don't show up in front of me again. With that, I turned and walked away. He tried to chase after me, but the guards broke both his legs and left him crying in the street. The day I was taken to the Xie family, I met the one pulling strings behind the brothel, Lin Xie, Ruofeng Xi's sister. She told me Ruofeng had once fallen so deeply in despair from his illness he nearly ended his life. The family tried everything, but nothing worked, until she noticed me, always unbending no matter how cruel the means. She figured she'd gamble once and send me to Ruofeng's side. Turned out I unraveled something in that numb, lifeless man. He stopped trying to die so much. You know, Lin Xie said, tears welling up, I had people whisper in his ear that you were suffering in the brothel every day. He clung to that thought, wanting to save you. That's the only reason he's still hanging on till now. She sobbed, voice broken. I didn't cry. I just looked out into the distance. Ruofeng Xi never wanted to be a burden. He loved me, but that urge to die never really left. He just paused it for a while.